Okay, today I'm going to demonstrate Suminagashi paper marbling because right now my students are focusing on how to express energy in art. And this is a great way for them to see the movement and energy of water through ink that's laying on the surface of the water. And if we translate Suminagashi, it literally translates into floating ink. And the package that I'm using comes with 6 different inks in it. And let's give it a go. We're going to get our tray of water and we're just going to fill the bottom of the tray so it's covered with water. Okay, we're going to get started on creating our Suminagashi floating ink. I often put out on the table for the students a tray or a palette full of the different inks that are in the package. So this package comes like this, and I just squirt a bunch of ink on the palette for them. And then I often also put out a number of paint brushes just so they don't have to worry about washing the brushes in between changing colors. They can use a different paintbrush for each color. And this particular technique we're going to use today is just very lightly touching the surface. And Suminagashi means floating ink, and it helps us show the movement of the water, which is what we want for this energy unit. So I'm going to very, very lightly touch the surface of the water, and you should see the ink spread out. There it goes. And with this particular technique, I'm just going to keep touching with the ink, and then if the ink I feel like is running out, I'll go back and reload. Just back and forth. Now if I go in too hard, the ink is going to drop right to the bottom of my pan here. So I just want to touch the surface very, very lightly. If it drops to the bottom, it's not going to bother my print when I print it. It won't ruin the artwork. Okay, so you can just see it keeps spreading out. I'm going to go back and reload my brush. I can keep going back and forth in this pattern, and it just keeps spreading out. But I tell my students at this point to experiment. If you want, you can go touch another area and start building in the pattern and the designs in different areas. You can also change colors. So I'm going to go in, I'll get some blue and some red, and we can go ahead and start adding different colors. And just very lightly touching the surface. You can see in some spots where the ink has dropped to the bottom of the pan. That's okay. It's not going to bother our final product. Okay, maybe I want some blue out here. So I would have my students keep going until they're happy with what they see. Then, when they're happy with that, they can actually just print that if they like that, or they can take a toothpick or a stick and very lightly start creating some ripples in the water and some movement in the water, because this unit is all about representing energy and movement. And so you can just start very carefully moving the water. You can do it with a stick, the back of the paintbrush. You can actually use some wind and blow it very carefully. And once you have that and you're happy with it and you want to print it, you're going to take your piece of paper and it works better if you have a piece of paper that absorbs the water, absorbs the ink. So I don't tend to use my regular craft paper in my art class because it kind of repels the water. So I get a little bit lighter weight paper, and I'm going to look and see where I want my design, and I simply just lay it on the water. And the ink will absorb. Okay? And then when I pull it out, I like to put it inside newspaper just to press out the water. So I'm going to put the newspaper here. We're going to pull our print out. We're going to put it in the newspaper and just press and blot out all of that water. Okay? And here here's the one that I just made. It just came out. I blotted the water out of it. The ink doesn't blot away in the newspaper. It stays. It's already absorbed into the paper. Here are some samples of students' work that have been finished. And again, the students were exploring how to represent energy through movement in their artwork. And it's fun. When you pull it out, you never know what you're going to get. Students absolutely love looking and seeing what their patterns and designs are going to be. Sometimes the colors mix in the water, and you're never even sure what colors you may get. Now the Suminagashi ink does tend to be very light, soft colors. It's not super vibrant. Whereas if we were doing Turkish paper marbling, when we're using chemicals, it's a little bit more vibrant in color, but these are a little bit more softer. Beautiful. There we go.